Hello, Sharif here, and welcome to our last of this series live streams on the Chronicles of the Upheavals. As you know, if you've been attending, um, w- twice a week we look at themes that are suggested or stated in my book, The Chronicles of the Upheavals. And this time we're going to go stretch over a little bit into the Chronicles of the Awakening. Um, and we are talking about today a relatively, well, I think it's interesting part of what does it mean for us to change our consciousness? Now, most of us, most of you just think we'll be doing the same thing we've always been doing, but we'll be nicer about it. Or we'll be doing the same thing that we've always been doing, but now I get my flying car. And what I would like to suggest to you is that humanity can go in some very, very different directions, some very interesting directions. Humanity can go in some way into some directions that maybe, just maybe, we don't want to go. But we'll be exploring all of that in our live cast today. However, the first thing we're going to just explore is our own minds. We'll go into our meditation, and I'm going to call forth our um, uh, meditation candle for those who don't want to look at me meditating. And I'm going to invite you, if you are comfortable, to close your eyes. And I'm going to suggest that you do 3 or 4 deep breaths. And as you're letting the breath out, to do so audibly, it actually changes your energy vibration. Okay. So, as you are ready, if you can come back to our center, and we will begin. Um, so, as I've said, we're reading from the Chronicles of the Upheavals, and in this segment, we're going to be talking about um, a theme, and that theme is unity. Now, unity is a word, and for most of us, we have a notion of the word being something nice. Um, uh, along with things like love, peace, harmony, unity would be great. But that's not the way I'm talking about it. And the way I'm talking about unity is how it is discussed in the book. And how unity is discussed in the book is um, in what gets called the awakening movement, the movement toward us becoming um, more connected with each other, more conscious of each other. Um, as we talked on Tuesday, more awakening the latent powers, becoming more telepathic with each other, becoming more able to connect with other living conscious beings. One of the and with all of the awakening centers happening around the world, with the collapse of the breaker world, um, we we get to experiment with a lot of these things. But one of those experiments, and in the book, this is something that's being done primarily in Europe, is the experiment with something that gets called the hive mind. Now, if you are a science fiction fan, you know that this notion of the hive mind or hive consciousness um, is a fairly standard theme in science fiction. And in that theme, it's generally a fairly brutalist hive, um, where individuality is rubbed out from our from a group of people, and how it's rubbed out is generally not nice. But people stop acting as individuals and start acting as one entity. Um, Let me read a bit from the book. Um, and this is in the chapter on the ambassadors to unity, ambassadors of unity. And reading from the preface, the awakening movement on other continents went down paths that North America did not. While centers similar in scope and reach developed, there was a subset of that movement that went in other directions. At first, the other movement was referred to as hives. This notion was resisted. The unity adherents were adamant that the analogy to bees and ants was grossly misleading. They were not mindless. By releasing their individualized consciousness, they believe that they have achieved ultimate mindfulness. The relationship between the centers and the hives, now known collectively as unity, has always been uneasy. That is nowhere more evident than in the transcript of the first formal meeting between the Culture Council and the ambassadors of unity. So you can see from the very beginning, um, people were um, twitchy around this notion of dealing with human beings who were no longer individuated. Um, a number of us right now, without any prompting, have a notion that we are one. We actually, there is a religious group called Unity that I've worked with over time, and they are clear adherents to the idea, the notion that we, first human beings and then all other beings, that we are one. That notion is not the same as having um, identical consciousnesses, so that I can believe we are one and still know that I'm sitting right here and you're sitting over there, that I'm wearing this shirt and you're wearing something else. I'm wearing this skin and you're wearing something else. We can work to connect with each other. And you can see from the other aspects of that I've read to you from Chronicles of the Upheavals, we can do a lot toward working with each other. We can have very similar perspectives, outlooks, etc., but we can still maintain a thread of our individuality in the midst of that. That isn't what unity is in the book. And I'm going to see if I can give you a flavor of that by reading a little more to you um, from that chapter, The Ambassadors of Unity. And you can read along for yourselves. So the transcript starts. Unity representatives flew into the meeting in their airship. Only the 5 Unity ambassadors leave the pneumatically sealed airship. As they enter the room, they carry oxygen cylinders and breathing tubes. So the first counselor is of the Awakening Center, is the one, just means this is the first person who speaks. They don't have any more authority than anybody else. So first counselor Eldine says, greetings to our esteemed guests. Perhaps the first thing we should do is exchange our names. My name is Counselor Eldine, and all 5 Unity ambassadors say at exactly the same time, they say this in unison, we have no names. Eldine says, well, how do we refer to you when we're speaking to you? In unison, we are unity. The one that has on their plaque that says Paris Unity. So Unity understands that this can be difficult for those not in unity. For your convenience, each body of unity may be referred to via that particular geographic unity. For your convenience, the geographic name for each specific unity has been sewn onto our tunics. For example, this one may be referred to as Paris Unity. So Eldine says, yes, I see, thank you. As I said, my name is Eldine, and this is, and Paris Unity interrupts and says, Unity knows who you are. There are full dossiers on each of you, and you've placed those pieces of stiff paper with your names on them in front of you. It's printed on each side in case you forget your names during the proceedings, yes? And Eldine doesn't know what to do with that. Already, just from the first interactions, you can see that there's a different way that they're processing information. I'm going to skip ahead because I don't want to read the whole thing to you. Oh, actually, maybe I should read this next part. So Eldine says, okay, well, let's just dispense with the introductions. So Paris Unity says, that was funny. That was an attempt at being humorous. Did you find it humorous? Unity does not use language much, so the nuances of verbal humor are difficult. There is no intention to offend. And Eldine is like, well, like, how do I deal with these people? So another counselor, Khalifa, says, what first counselor Eldine means is that your joke was humorous but unexpected. And given the gravity and importance of this meeting, perhaps we should leave humor until we get to know each other better. But Paris says, well, why didn't Eldine say that? If he meant to say that, why are you saying the words for him? Is this telepathy? Again, this is Khalifa is pausing. This is a way of speaking among those of us who use language as a means to convey information. And then all 5 Unity ambassadors freeze in place for a full 5 seconds. In unison, they then say, understood and acknowledged. London Unity says, go on with your talking. So as they are operating at 5 bodies, 1 mind, they are getting, from the very beginning, confused with the people who are, I think there's like 10 bodies in the room, which means there's 10 minds in the room. And they also have another 15 counselors on video. So that means that, there's 20, 25 awakened people in the awakening movement, but each of them has a different mind. With Unity, if you're talking to 5 of them, you're talking to 1 mind. If you're talking to 20 of them, you're talking to 1 mind. If you're talking to 1,000 of them, you're talking to 1 mind. Now, that has consequences down the road, and those consequences become evident as they go on trying to communicate with each other. Let me I'm going forward into yet another communication challenge with Unity. So starting in the middle of the page, Eldine is they're having difficulty believing what they're hearing. Eldine says, "Wait, we'll be here all night. I suggest that we take these matters in the order that Ambassador London has suggested. That means," and Paris Unity says, "Please do not use that term." And Eldine says, "What term?" In unison, they all say, "When you refer to Ambassador London, you think that the body wearing the tunic with the label London is different from the whole, different from Unity. It is not. We are Unity." Referring to a particular body would be like saying Unity is speaking to Eldine's ear or listening to Eldine's mouth. Not only is that incorrect, it is offensive. Please stop. Again, everybody has to collect themselves, and Eldine says, "We sincerely mean no offense. This is difficult for us to comprehend, and even more difficult to communicate through. I only meant that London Unity gave us a list of agenda items." In unison, the 5 ambassadors to Unity of Unity say, "No, Unity gave you that list." Counselor Eldine made an apology that Counselor Eldine's mouth, that it was Counselor Eldine's mouth that was moving, is of no consequence. Dean says, okay, let's start with, and I'm going to ask it, you read along with this. Okay, Paris, each one of them says a different word: Paris, London, Prague, etc. Would it be better if Unity spoke to you like this? And there's another pause. And Khalifa says, no, that is not better, not at all. Um, Prague Unity says, another suggestion then: one body will respond to you, but a different body for each question. And Eldine says, okay, sure, let's try that. Okay. Um, and then they go on from there. Um, uh, we, in how we communicate with each other, we're not used to being direct. We're not used to being focused. We're not used to being honest. Most of us, if we have a difficult honest issue, we will say something that may be true, but not the exact reason that we are saying what we're saying. Okay. Um, I'll give you a classic example. Someone invites you to eat some food, and you find the food not to your liking. Okay. And you may say, oh, I ate at home and I'm full already, so I won't have any. Thank you for inviting me, for asking me. Now, that may be true. You may have eaten at home. You may not be hungry. But the reason that you're not eating the food is that you find it repellent, not because you ate at home. If they offered you something really that you really, really desired, you'd say, oh, yeah, sure, I'll make some more room for that. So our challenge is, can we um, can we be honest? Now, I would suggest that those of us who have made a commitment to awakening, which is what you have done, this is why you're watching this, can be more honest with each other, because we can see through each other and past each other. That doesn't get us to the point of unity. That doesn't get us to the point of a hive mind. I mean, I want us to think about this. What reason would you have to say anything to anyone if you are in complete telepathic communication with them at all times, where they not only know what you're about to say, what you're about to make your mouth move and say, but they also know all of your internal motivations and questions and fears and anxieties and everything else? What would you say to them? What would you have to say to them? What is the how would you function in unity? So that becomes the reason that these chapters are there is to ask the question: is this the way that humanity should go, could go, wants to go? And I'll tell you two things. One is, for all the people who have read the book and have commented back to me, all of them have liked the book, with the exception of the actually 2 to 4 chapters that deal with unity. The last 2 chapters are, where people actually get to see unity in action. They don't like it. They're writing to me, great book. Unity sucks. How do we avoid this? uh, the second piece is I know people who are attempting unity right now. I know people who are attempting the hive mind right now. Um, I don't want to say too much about it or them because, well, it, uh, I have no idea who this is going out to, so I won't identify them or comment on how they are trying to create a hive mind. I can tell you of the 4 or 5 groups that I know, 3 of them are women only groups. And I'm not sure what kind of mind you start to create when you are being exclusive. Okay. Um, how you would go about doing that and be doing that inclusively, I have an idea of of what you would do, but I'm not sure we want that idea. I'm not sure that we are ready for that idea. Um, if there were people in this awakening movement, okay, so of the 5 groups of humans that I know who are consciously probing the existence of a hive mind, I would say most of them are not part of this awakening of humanity that I've been talking about for the last 30 or 40 years. And they're not part of this future that I've identified in my writings, especially in the Chronicles of the Upheavals and the Chronicles of the Awakening. They're going to do something else. To the extent that they would be successful in doing that, I don't know. I don't know if you can um, develop holonic consciousness from an exclusivist point of view. Because the beings that you need to be holonic with are not just human beings. And so if you can't even handle all human beings, then I'm not sure how successful you'll be. I think that um, um, we can talk about this. We can talk about the creation of a hive mind, but unless people are ready, willing, and able to give up their consciousness, give up their individualized consciousness in favor of a group consciousness, then I think that that won't work. I don't think it'll work just because people give up their consciousness. They have to be targeting their consciousness to the group. So, um, I can tell you, in fact, most of the people in America I know are busy giving up their consciousness. They give it up to television, they give it up to drugs, they give it up to sports events. And there's this gigantic movement to smooth the American brain, make our brains nice and smooth, no wrinkles in it, because we are spending less and less time being thoughtful, less and less time being deliberate. Um, uh, so we're spending less and less time thinking at all, let alone thinking as one. I think that there's some groups that will be interesting. It will be interesting to see if they can create the hive mind. Um, the one group on the planet that has the inside track of creating a hive mind would be the People's Liberation Army of China. Um, they've got over 1 million human beings in service right now. They have a culture of that is um, very much aware of doing things together in unison, etc. Nobody perceives the benefit of it yet. Okay, this is like, you know, going back to um, early America, a week before Benjamin Franklin does his kite and key experiment, and say, you should be focusing on building coal fired power plants and nuclear power plants to generate the gigawatts of electricity that will be needed in the future. And Benjamin Franklin says, what's a watt? And what's a giga? And why would we need that? And who are you? Um, so it's a very different way of thinking. It's a very different way of being in the world, and we haven't grown into that yet. What most of us are waiting for is for somebody to tell us that this is important. So let me do that right now. This is really, really important. And you are, if the field is wide open, no one is saying we're the one that'll deliver holonic consciousness. Most folks don't know what it is, and more people than that don't care. And they won't care until all of a sudden we start doing things that they can't do. And then they're going to care a lot. And then a whole bunch of people get involved because they think that they'll make the next $1 billion on it. And they will fail miserably because even the desire to do that will keep them away from holonic consciousness. Yay. So our challenge is to be very conscious of what happens in the next, literally in the next weeks, months, and a couple of years, because we are going to get a chance to get exercised. And those of us who are paying, the handful of people, I should even say the tiny handful of people that are paying attention to this, are going to be the leaders of a society in the future. And whether that society makes an intention to experiment with non-individualized consciousness is something that all of us will face together. And hopefully that consciousness is going to be as positive and loving and connected as we can be. Yeah, hopefully, and actually this gets said in I think the next chapter in the book, saying, you know, what would happen if the awakening movement, that's us normal people, non-awakened people see the awakened movement as being super, and just as the awakening movement sees the unity people as being super. And so so in the next chapter they say, what would happen if there's a conflict between the folks who are running the awakening centers and unity? And unity says we don't perceive a conflict in the future. We will not conflict with each other. They said that, and so the awakening centers press a little harder and say, yes, but what if there is a conflict? And unity says, If there's a conflict, you lose. There's nothing you can do to resist us. We don't take you over because we don't want you. We want you to come voluntarily if you want to come here, but we don't need you for anything. Um, and um, a couple of the Awakening Center counselors take offense by that, and they're saying, you could affect our consciousness and take over all of our operations. And I said, yeah, but we don't have to affect your consciousness. We can just take over all of your operations. You know, you would give us all your passwords because we asked for them. You would give us all the control because we asked for it. There's nothing you can do to resist us. Um, for those of you who remember in the old Star Trek, the Borg, and one of their lines is "resistance is futile." Well, um, Unity does that, but they do it with a smiley face. It's like, yeah, we'll all just be one big happy family, and you'll love it because we say that you're going to love it. And so, if you want that, you can either say, let's do nothing and see what happens. Remember, I said there's some experiments in hive mind consciousness going on right now. Or you could say, oh, we'll look at that if we ever get there, which means it'll then be too late. Or you can start the process of helping to steer us to a whole new way of us living together, of us being together. Okay, let me wrap up by saying thank you for the time to do this particular exercise. This is a good month of May exercise. I said we're going to do another exercise starting in June. I need your help in steering that exercise. And what I need help with, as you can see, our numbers are low and they stay low. I want the numbers to go up, and I don't know why the numbers don't go up on either the live stream or in how the who watches the recordings. It could be because this platform, the live stream platform, it's called StreamYard, doesn't work right, and it's not moving things forward. I can go back to using Zoom, or I can stay using StreamYard, and people would prefer that to Zoom. Or there's a way to do both together that I would have to learn how to do these two things together that give us the benefit of live stream, which allows us to stream to 4 or 5 different entities and platforms at the same time. So I'm streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And also use the Zoom format, which allows other people to be on the line and looking at each other. We can actually see each other and can interact on a different level, on a more integrated level. Now, or I can do nothing. Okay, I've got lots and lots of things to do. My desk is covered with things to do. I can start doing some of those things and suspend doing live things on this channel. I need to hear from you. I can hear from you a couple of different ways. You can write comments into the live stream or the window that you're getting the live stream from. So if you're getting this via YouTube, you can write a comment on YouTube. If you're getting this through LinkedIn, you can write a comment on LinkedIn. If you're getting this through Facebook, you can write a comment on any one of the 3 Facebook channels. Or you can not say anything, and this just goes away. Your participation in our exercise here, your participation is requested. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for time. I'm not asking you for, $50 a month or anything like that. I am asking you to spend some time. Well, I could do a poll, but I would really like to find out what is actually happening with you. So if you can do that, that would be great. If you can't do that for some reason, you can send an email. I'm sure you know how to send an email to mail@commonway.org. That's MAIL, not MALE, although that would get to me also. And you can say, I really appreciate this, but I would rather be on Zoom than be on live stream. I would rather be on live stream and not Zoom. Can you try to do both? Or I don't appreciate this at all. I'm not getting anything out of it, and try doing something else. So I would encourage you to do that for yourself and for me. And let's see where we go. So I'm going to wrap up. This wraps up this series. We'll be starting another series soon as I get your comments. And if I don't get your comments, something else will happen. So once again, we'll wrap up with our inclusivity mantra. We're going to focus first on ourselves, then on each other, then on those of us who are committed to doing this work, and then on all beings. So may I be well. May I be secure. May I be happy. May you be well. May you be secure. May you be happy. May we be well. May we be secure. May we be happy. And may all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. Thanks a lot. I'll see you at another point. Thanks. Bye.